What makes Gema the #1 selling powder coating gun manufacturer in the West? Is the China myth true? There's a new sheriff in town. Today we head out on the open range with reps Jason and Blaine as they rustle up some microamps, powder clouds, and KVs to help you aim for the perfect gun settings. We'll cattle drive the costs of powder guns and chew on tough questions about where workforce needs and innovation will come from. Sit around the campfire for a while as we show you how one particular Texas gunslinger is solving some industry needs without the help from big corporations. Saddle up, partner. We're about ready to ride out. Get ready to level up your powder coater game. Welcome to the Powder Coater Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Scott, where we talk about trending topics, interview influencers, and on occasion have a powder coating supplier, gun manufacturer show up here and there too. So today I'm really excited to introduce our two guests, not just one, but two today, Jason Schwer and Blaine Scheideman. They work for Gema. And I just want to introduce them and welcome them to the show. You guys?
Well, thanks for having us, Kim. Nice being on here.
Yeah, it's been great. Tell us, Jason, what exactly do you do for Gema?
So I am the Midwest, I guess you could say, territory manager for Gema. My goal is to help my distributors sell my equipment. So if they don't know everything they need to know, kind of go out there, do some hands-on with them, make sure they're talking about the right products or helping other manufacturing companies pursue their automation needs.
Awesome. Okay. And Blaine?
I cover for Texas and some of the states around it. I do the same thing that Jason does. I'm a territory manager. I got started on the manufacturing side. I was in manufacturing for about almost a decade. And my last role, I was supervisor for some of the largest lines in the country.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay. It's just a milestone moment for me to have you guys on the show, and I really do appreciate it because it shows that your company has a stake in the custom coder community, and I think that's really, really important.
I get more excited going to mom and pop shops or people in the garage than I do going to these big John Deere manufacturers, because I like to watch you guys grow, because you start out in your garage, then you get into a 3-employee, maybe 5 people. And then, like you said on the show, you grow to where you've got 50, 60 people with an automatic line. And I like it when you guys started out and you grow all the way to where you're making a couple $1 million in sales throughout the year. It's just a great process.
It really is.
Cool. Random.
What's the day-to-day life for you guys on the road? I mean, what's the day-to-day life for you? How do you start your day, Jason? And then I'll ask Blaine the same question.
So normally Monday, you're probably planning out with your distributors where we're going to go. We set up a game plan, whether it's going to be this week, the following week, or 3 weeks once we can make our schedules all work together. We try and set up multiple accounts in that week that we're going to go out. You know, they may be across the street from each other, or they may be 2 or 3 hours away from where we're heading to. And then we normally like to find out a couple cold calls of accounts that we think are powder coating or we know are, that are using competitor equipment.
Mm-hmm.
We try and introduce ourselves and get our foot in the door. And then other than that, it's just traveling. That would be probably 50% of my job, is just driving or flying to those places. And then once you're done with the day, you get back to your hotel room and you're probably doing proposals till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah. My.
I'll be having a beer and I'll be calling them at 8 and I'll be like, hey, what about this vent hose and this, because we make a lot of different things.
Right.
We make some big, and there's always well, in this case, because of this thing, you have to do this thing because of that. And
Yeah.
there's always something like that. And I bug Jason. I bug the crap out of Jason. He's seen a lot of different systems, so he's helped me quite a bit on some of the minutia of retrofits and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I would say that pretty much just describes what I thought you guys did, and stuff, problem solve, and just kind of like, people want to get the most out of their equipment because the equipment is so expensive. So they just kind of want to kind of keep it hobbling along, and, maybe you guys providing solutions or problem solving along the way, right? To keep it going till they are ready to replace.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's always, you always get those calls that are like, oh, I need this right now. I got to paint this job. Or, you get stuff like that. And then you get other people that are, well, we're considering something for 2025 and we want to have, 30 meetings and, so we see it every which way.
Yeah.
We'll just meet you where you're at and be where you are and try to help you how we can.
We had some pretty interesting topics, namely, like, what is the industry doing to help the workforce, myths about Gema, and, just general stuff about your guns, and why they are so well known, so highly requested. What is the, let's demystify these myths about Gema, or is it all true? Are the rumors all true?
What are the rumors?
Are they that good? And that's, I think, getting into that, right? It's like, part of the problem is that you don't know until you know, right? It's very hard to get, these guns are very expensive. It's not like you can just go down the store and get them, right? And, people tend to kind of, I don't know. I don't know, when you're getting into this business, you just, obviously you're evaluating pricing, you're evaluating equipment, you're evaluating the kinds of features and benefits that each of these guns manufacturers have. And you're also evaluating your budget too, right? So, and your level of expertise. So it seems like these people get into camps, right? I'm a Gema person, I'm a Wagner person, I'm, Parker Ionics, I'm all the, everybody is got their gun until maybe they try a different gun and they go, wow, this is so different from, XYZ. So it's very hard to switch out unless you're moving to a new company or a new job shop. And I guess that's kind of the way I see the industry. It's once you know the gun, you're kind of in that camp. You don't jump around very often. But Gema is definitely known for its broad marketplace, and market share. So tell us why these guns are just so awesome.
Well, I do like to say that our gun, I believe, is the best in the industry. I believe a lot of it's our R&D on it. We do a lot of research and development to where we're always engineering new equipment. We're listening to consumers, really, what your problems are, your struggle areas, and we take that back, that information, and we try and develop something that's going to fix that problem that you're having.
And Blaine? Well, it would touch on what Jason
really,
said. Oh.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we have invested a lot more than our peers into technology. Gema has really been a company of engineers historically. And, about 20 years ago, I think we struggled coming to market because we didn't quite have the marketing sizzle, so to speak. But we knew we had a good product.
Yeah.
And, we have gained market share steadily over the last 20 years until now. We can say we are number one in almost every major market.
Yeah.
A lot of our data comes from PCI, where we submit our sales data, just like all the other manufacturers, to see the growth of the market. And we can see year over year, we're outgrowing not just the market, but we're gaining market share every year. A lot of it has to do with base patents and technologies. We're able to offer things that customers cannot get from any other manufacturer.
We've got a major workforce shortage coming. We need to start training a lot more people. And how do you see gun manufacturers, Gema, if you want to just talk about Gema or just the industry in general, like where do you see them being a pivotal point in, bringing the workforce to market, I guess, or, increasing the workforce with all this growth that's supposed to be happening here in powder coatings?
Yeah, this was something we actually talked about at Vegas that I remember. Yeah, we just started talking shop on, there's trade schools for, automotive technicians, but there's not really a trade school for powder coating. You can go to a trade school to learn how to liquid paint a car, but not powder coated. And my generation and younger, they don't really want to get into the industrial side. It's nasty business for them. Everybody wants to be an engineer or a banker or just find their millions of dollars on the street.
It's true. We have that to fight against too, right? Yeah. Myths and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. Is it more schools then? You just building schools and educating people?
Blaine, is there anything you can touch on this?
Sure, absolutely. I think, powder coating's sort of a niche industry. I think if you walk up on the street to a random person and say, what is powder coating? They're going to say, what, like donuts, powdered sugar? I think it's just not something that ever, if you're in manufacturing, if you're in fabrication or production of some kind, you've probably heard of it. But I think the best thing we can do, and I brought this up at the PCI, we have a young professionals meeting that we do.
Yeah.
And I think in general, and I mentioned this to the Nordson guy too, who I've known for years. We just cannot get enough people in the industry. And I think we need to be going out to colleges and talking more about the technology, how there will be opportunities. I think we're also seeing more and more manufacturers looking for service and support from people like myself. Like when I say manufacturer, like a John Deere or somebody that makes something, they are having trouble finding people that can run their lines. And you have seen a trend over the last 10 years or more. They are relying more and more on us to provide service and support and training. That my dog is out there causing a ruckus, so I got a little distracted. But
you've got dogs, and Jason's got kids. I've got nothing. I'm at work. I'm at work. You guys are at home, thankfully. It's
no
later
kids
in the
at
day.
Home?
No, they're all grown.
Oh, good for you. My oldest is 16, and my youngest is 14.
Oh my gosh!
And
yeah,
Jason's like the Brady Bunch. So what do you have?
Got 13, 10, 5, and 4.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me that when we were having dinner, getting to know each other. I know, and it's funny that you're talking about this workforce because it's been heavy on my mind lately, and I've been kind of asking a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions to PCI. Kevin Corson was on the show. I ask everywhere I go. And I think there's some solutions out there. We're talking about it now, right? It's not something we can't ignore anymore. I tend to take a different approach than maybe industry, just because I am we're in the custom coder market. So it's different from, these companies that have hundreds of employees and do line systems with automated Gema guns and stuff like that. Sometimes, and we are up against a new group of kids, let's just call kids, young adults that have different drivers than maybe our generation or, older generation people do, right? They just have different drivers. They are certain things motivate them different than us, right? Maybe it's more about creating better access to high-priced guns. And here's the thing. It's like Gema's everywhere, but it's hard to get the product, right? And I don't want to bite too hard on that, because it's not just Gema. It's Wagner, it's Parker, it's Nordson, it's all the major brands, which opens up a marketplace or an opportunity for lower price brands to kind of fill in that gap, albeit small right now, right? If you're an entry level coder, you're probably starting with a Harbor Freight or Eastwood gun, and then after you go through that, then you're moving up. You're starting to look at these higher priced quality guns. You want one. And I'm sharing my husband's story here, right? A lot of us started with Eastwood guns, because these other guns it didn't seem to make sense, right? How do you learn? And actually, to be fair, we did buy a Wagner gun. I think he got access to something on the like a used one. And it was so complicated because he didn't know enough about amps and KV and some of the other stuff, that you need to know to run the gun, powder cloud and back ionization and stuff like that. So he actually kind of backed off on that and then went to an intermediate gun, which I think it was the Cool Coat from Columbia that had just rolled out. That he ended up buying, and it was only like $1,000. It was affordable. And then he ran through that, and then he was ready to kind of get back into the Wagner. And by that time, he knew enough. So there is this correlation between knowledge of the gun and how it runs and how powder coating works to either the budget or the capability of the user, right? So there's this, Deanna, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. I want to backtrack a little bit to anyone that is watching this and is having trouble getting a Gema gun. Call me. We'd be happy to do a demo. So, if you're ever having trouble looking for Gema and how do we get a demo? How do we get our parts? How do we get? You can go to our website, and then you can look up by your zip code if you're in the United States, you're a distributor, and that's really the best way to get access to us. In terms of why is it difficult or why is it restricted? Why can't I just buy this at Home Depot? We like to follow up with service and support and knowledge so that people know how to run our guns. So if you are interested in buying a Gema gun, we'd have a distributor come out and do education on how to run it properly, what the wear parts are to watch. We would explain the 5-year warranty that we do. All of those things are very important to us, and that's why we maintain exclusivity in the market, so to speak. When talking about difficulty of finding, we just want to make sure that every customer that buys from us understands how to get the most out of the gun, because it is a significant investment. So we want to make sure that they get the most out of their money.
I think Blaine nailed it on the head. We have all of our distributors are certified on our equipment. We have in our policy that they are to be trained on the equipment before they can even sell it. And actually in our policy, if they are going to sell one of our units, they're actually supposed to come out and do a demonstration. Well, maybe not a demonstration, but startup and training on that handgun. So the end user actually knows how to use every function. We covered it with them. Then there's a warranty card that we have them fill out to give you their 5-year warranty on that unit from that day of actually hooking the unit up. So that's really what separates us from all the other kind of gun manufacturers where, yeah, you can buy a $5,000 gun from anybody else, but if you don't know how to turn the thing on and use it, what's that $5,000 gun going to do for you?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we're really unique in the way we have structured our distribution network. We partner hand in hand with our distributors. Most other equipment providers, if not all, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, it is a free-for-all for their distributors, where distributors are bidding against each other. There's one, and then there's another. But what we have done is we've set up regions for our distributors, and that allows them to have that trust that we're going to follow hand in hand with them and help them grow in that region. With that, we can now monitor their service centers, make sure we have, A+ service centers, kind of like your dealership for Ford. I'm Ford, they're the dealer.
Mhm.
I'll go and look at their service center and go, you guys are doing a great job. Or, hey, you might need some more education on this part or this. And these are high level technical things that have nothing to do with what goes on in a job shop. But, just our commitment to our distributors, I think, has been key to our success in this country.
Okay, well, I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to bring it up. So I know that it's not that you can't get replacement parts for Gema. And you can get them for all the other major brands too. One of the reasons, we're way out here in the boondocks, middle of the Pacific. So I'm not sure who's in my territory or representative, but
that would be Chris Butterfield is the Gema territory manager for you.
Is he? Okay.
Yes.
I know there are some people out here that have Gemas and stuff, so maybe he comes and visits them. I haven't been visited by anybody, but would love the opportunity if it ever came up, right?
Okay. Are you interested in buying a Gema gun?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
I mean, we're interested in trying them all out, right? I think there's going to be advantages to all of them, right? For whatever reason. And we do want to discover that at some point, I think that's kind of one of the myths about Gema and also the different brands. It's like, what is the difference? Why, and I don't think there's anybody out there that's done a comparative test against them all to kind of rate them all. And I think that's definitely a need in the industry too, whether it be third party or something like that, but I want to share with you an episode I did recently. And I know that gun parts are available through Gema. You have to buy through your distributor or through Gema. It can be kind of dicey though sometimes when something, you don't have. If something happens, you drop your gun, your tips break, whatever. That's the usual common thing, right? And you're out of stock, or you don't have the exact replacement, or you can't afford the exact replacement. So there's a gentleman that I interviewed, Scott Coates, and he's gone and done, he's actually making gun tips for all the major brands. He started with Gema because he is a Gema user, and he created gun parts for replacement parts that work on your guns and several other guns. So I just want to share this with you. Let's see if you guys.
I think this is this a good one to show people in regards to the tips that you came up with too? Because you've got the tips now is it just the Gema guns
this is
or
Scott
any
Coates.
Kind of gun?
Can you
it's
guys
just the
hear
Gema
it?
guns now. I'm working on one for the Omega guns, but I haven't had a chance to get that one finished yet. But yeah, here most of my products are because there's a need for something that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I actually had made a quick prototype nozzle, I don't know, probably a year ago, just playing around with my 3D printers, but I never really did anything with it. In the world of 3D printing, you don't want to try to replicate something that already exists. You don't want to duplicate something because it's usually cheaper to get something that's already made.
True.
So I never really pursued it any further. But one day, my gun slipped out of my hand, and it damaged the tip on my gun. And I told the wife, go ahead and get another one on order. I had a backup in stock, put on the gun. But always our common practice, keep something for backup. Once you use that, get another one at the shop so we have it. Well, she calls our local rep that sells the Gema products, and they were no longer there. I'm not sure what happened, if Gema pulled them or if the company that was the local rep pulled the department. But anyway, they disappeared. So suddenly I'm faced with the fact that we can't get parts local anymore, if something comes up and we need something in a hurry. So I said, well, maybe I should go ahead and finish developing that tip just so I have it in case of some kind of situation like that. And really that was just for my own personal benefit at the time. But once I got to working on it, I thought, there are some improvements that can be made here. And one of them is finding a different material that's more shock resistant. So I started pursuing that and playing around with a bunch of different materials. People may think that I come out with these products and, that it just all happens easy, but it's no different than doing a two-tone wheel. I've spent a lot of time working on it. I printed probably 40 of those out before I finally got to a design I was happy with. Because once I start the process, I tend to find things that I like to change as I'm going along the way. And one of them obviously was to make it more stronger and more impact resistant so it could survive a drop.
Interesting. That's good.
I mean, I'm not, I haven't bought the tips. I know a lot of people have, but I think the video makes an important point that innovation is, just like what you stand behind. Innovation is so much more important, to continue on. Sometimes innovation can come from the bottom, right? Can come from the user. And I'm a proponent of that. We have our own products out there that are coming from the same, perspective, and as I'm watching this video, I'm like, I hope the Gema guys don't come after this guy because, he's actually solving a lot of problems. Maybe it was just specific in his region that the person wasn't local anymore or, decided to stop selling Gema. I don't know. He didn't get into depth about it, but, there was some interesting points about that. But then, obviously, would an impact resistant tip be more better for the marketplace?
Sure. So, I mean, if I can run with this for a minute, I'm not sure what materials he's using. If it's 3D printed, my assumption is that it's ASA, could be TCGC. It could be a number of different materials. Typically, we use PTFE. This allows for powder to not stick. We're more worried about impact fusion on the front of the nozzle usually, because that can affect your spray pattern and ultimately affect efficiency. Now, in terms of experimental materials for nozzles, I think that's an interesting point, and it might be something we could learn from. I don't know. But I like that he has identified a problem, and if it is a major problem, and we see this with all of our customers, what we typically do is start engineering design, and we start looking at how we can adjust to the market for new problems as they arise. I can't really comment on to what his technology is, though, because I'm not sure what the material.
We're not using a gun tip from him, but again, this is the beauty and the reason why I love custom coaters and the custom coating market, because we're not going to wait for the industry to deliver something, because and this is the reason why we call it the voice of custom coating, because, we don't wait for the industry to come out with something. We kind of just, spitball it ourselves sometimes because we have to. We're just solving problems in the industry. And if all this podcast does is allow the industry to kind of maybe look to us to kind of hear us a little bit more, I think it's a beautiful thing, because I think it's and this is where my point is getting to that workforce, and appealing to a workforce that doesn't normally adhere to past, I don't want to say dogma. It's not dogma, but just like past understandings about how the workforce used to be, and how it is today, right? And I think there's a lot of upside when we can come together as a community to problem solve many problems, and that's where I think that this price disparity and parts availability problem can get solved. If could it be possibly that uh, this gap gets a little, this price disparity gap and this maybe technology gap gets a little narrower with, like, say, a mid-level gun. I mean, there are mid-level guns out there already. People, China's coming out with them. Not to say that they're great, they're not. Um, I think there's some out of South Africa now. We've got local North American brands like Columbia Coating with their Cool Coat. I think there's a handful of others I don't even know that are out there selling guns and stuff. So, I guess that was when we were having our beers at SEMA, was kind of the topic that we were talking about, Jason, was, is the need great enough, and would Gema ever
cut price or
mid-level gun, or try to bring that disparity a little closer? It doesn't seem like it with, but I just thought I have to ask the question, right?
Well, we can't really comment on future products. Sorry, Jason, go.
Really, with Gema, we only want to offer the best solution. I think that's why we don't have a good, better, best gun. We offer different technologies to make a great gun even better, but we don't have that mid-level entry gun that's kind of demanded right now.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a different place in the market. So our place is quality and performance. That's what we're going after. We're aiming to be the best service, the best quality gun, durable, high efficiency, all those things. And in that, we don't make any sacrifices. Now, there are other brands that make sacrifices in order to meet those price points that are more habitable, I guess. But long term, we usually see our prices may be not at the $5,000 level anymore. We see that customers are coming back, and somehow we're still the largest chunk in the market, which I think is a testament to the quality and performance, our commitment to those two values.
Yeah. I think, in answering the question, how to solve a workforce problem with gun suppliers, using gun suppliers, is like, if there could be a strong mid-level gun in the marketplace, could it help narrow that workforce gap? I don't know. That's the question, right?
I think that the question is phrased, my question would be, typically in most shops that I go into, if they're not using my gun, they, not always, but typically they are spending more money than they should on powder. Now, there's a certain level where you may not have enough volume in powder usage to, like you're a guy that's you're buying the 1 pound baggies, and maybe you're a little slow. Like, let's say you do 50 pounds of powder painted a month. Then it's really hard. If I'm talking about points saved on powder used and spare parts you're going through, you may not go through your inserts very fast. In that case, it's very hard for, I think, a Gema to fit. But I think my main point is just we think we're making it well, and for us to make anything substandard, we are just
right.
We feel like this is the price for a quality gun, and don't see ourselves now. If we saw a lot of competition from a brand that could somehow match us in performance, that might be a different conversation.
Then the marketplace has changed. Yeah,
but
fair
I
enough.
don't see the market. I really don't see the market going that way.
Yeah,
the technology has just gotten. The technologies that we're coming up with have just gotten so much better. I mean, it is what happened 20 years ago to today. It is just night and day how far in application equipment.
Well, I think that in looking at the workforce, and I know you said earlier, going to the colleges and creating a sort of a regional testing or teaching center or something like that. These are all great points. There's certainly not enough of it out there. And if it could be truly not leaning towards pushy sales, kind of stuff, right? Because a lot of what's out there educationally right now is either, if it's not coming from PCI, it's we're doing a course and we're also going to sell you our product kind of thing. Okay, so that's what's been namely out there in the currently or in the past. And that works for a bit, but it doesn't necessarily, create a fair and unbiased, powder coating, teaching powder coating, right? And I guess that my thought of it is, well, there's all these individual business owners, mom and pops like Ross and I, out there even Scott Coates out there every day, using Gemas, using Wagners, using Parkers, whatever they can get their hands on, used or otherwise. There's already a workforce out there. Can we cultivate them? They're the ones that are getting up every day. They're self-employed. Maybe they're still doing their part-time job and doing this in their garage or in a small shop somewhere. And who knows, tomorrow's garage coder is, today's garage coder is tomorrow's, big custom coder in their area. I mean, that seems to be the narrative that all these industry magazines always talk about, right? Oh, it's just this guy and his wife, and they started 30, 40 years ago, and now they've got hundreds of employees and stuff, and they do all this great coatings, and and they've grown their business and stuff like that. So with every generational coder that's out there, they all started as a custom coder, most of the time. That seems to be the narrative that gets pushed on in the magazines when they're doing biopic kind of stuff. And so I just don't want it to be ignored. I want it to be maybe paid attention to. Maybe there's some solutions there to workforce through individual entrepreneurs starting in their garage or in a small shop, hiring 2 or 3 or 4 employees kind of thing. Maybe it can be solved there. Not maybe, at some point once they get past and they want to get into a larger gun or, a more higher price gun, more quality gun like Gema, then maybe we can, I don't know, then they can kind of grow from there. Right. And stuff. But I don't know. It's, I'm just trying to kind of, shoot the breeze a little bit about it, and try to solve industry problems right here and now on the show.
Okay.
And I appreciate your
world hunger next, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, good. I love it. I love I'm happy every time I talk to a custom coder, I learn something, because the day-to-day small business, wearing different hats, and you're looking at all aspects of the whole thing, not just where we are kind of, on this equipment track, you know what I mean? And, there's so much that you guys go through as small business owners. And to be honest, I commend you. I could never, I tried to do the small business thing, and I'm just a corporate guy. I like to be special, So I don't know where I'm going with that.
Well, it's kind of been a rambling podcast, and I'm okay with that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Because I don't want any high pressure here. I'm just
Yeah.
positing perspectives. That's really what I'm hoping to. I want to show you what some other people are coming up with solution wise, and that it's still that it can still be, things can still be learned from the custom coder community, which is so micro compared to, I'm sure, customers that you have that do line systems and automation systems that spend millions of dollars with you. And I'm not, I'm not trying to say ignore those people. Obviously, you wouldn't be in business if you didn't cater to those people. But I'm also saying that there is a huge community out there that is willing to share, willing to innovate, willing to communicate. If there was an ear bent, in that area. I think I think the podcast is definitely a testament to that, right? And I hope that that it does bridge this community, and it does bridge the gaps and help solve some of these problems that will be facing educational wise, workforce wise in the future, because it will be a big problem soon. And I mean, it's great to know that Gema's already kind of thinking about it, and it's great to know that custom coders are doing it, right? And stuff like that. So let's see some of the other things I think I wrote down in my, okay, so let's go back to myths about Gema. One of the myths when I first started getting into this business was the China myth that Jason's already smiling.
We'll already say that is a 100% myth.
Yeah, I think we can pretty much. And all I'm going to say is China. If you know, it's 100% myth, and I'm happy that it is. And let's just put that one to bed on the podcast here and now. Let's see, what else do I have on my notes? Oh, you told me, and I don't know where. I wrote this note down and I'm like, what did I mean by that? And it's like, I think, Jason, you told me that you use the Powder Coating Near Me website that we have to search for new coders in your territories.
Absolutely. When times were a lot slower, I used to hop on your website that you created. You punch in your zip code, and not only would it show me the local powder coating shops that I probably didn't even know of, because they were, like you kind of said, they're the garage coders. They're not doing a whole lot of volume, but they're out there. And that intrigued me to know what kind of gun they were using.
Yeah.
So I used it as kind of a lead source.
That's awesome. And I can't tell you, I have to, I am so proud of that website. I'm going to get on that website. I'm going to be kind of doing a little self promo right now, because this website just keeps blowing me away. Every day. I just got a notice from Google that like 500 people landed on this site. I'm not advertising. I'm not doing anything. 500 people are landing on this site every day, using the site, searching for people. This is kind of getting scary now, because I have now 9 emails I have to get back to. These are inquiries that are coming in looking for, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you help me do this? Where do I go here? I mean, I can't even answer them all. I've kind of created a bit of a problem for myself, because I now have to respond to these people, and I don't know how to respond or get those leads to the people in my area. So I need to kind of work on that, because I had no idea it would get that far when I built it. And it just keeps growing every day. So I finally fixed the email. So like, you have to put your zip code in when you email me. because that the next question is where are you coming from? Where are you calling from? Because I don't know where these people are. So we finally fixed that. And now I'm able to respond and at least search within the site myself or reach out to people I know in the area. I'm glad that you're using it. And a lot of other people are using it too. So, and it's the consumers that are using it. So that's great. I'm happy that this is working out so well.
It's a great website. I'm sure you probably get a lot of questions where people saying, hey, can you stick this in your oven? And you don't know if it's who's ever in that area is going to have a big enough oven or not for it.
Yeah, a lot of people just want to know, can I do this, part? Or somebody emailed me about a radar system of some sort on a boat, and he was in like upstate New York or somewhere, not upstate New York, but like Long Island, I guess. And he has a boat and he wanted to know if there was a coder. And I'm like, there were coders in that area, but I'm wondering why they're not getting discovered, or what search did he do to find our site. So we're still figuring it out, but this little site is just ripping right now, and I'm super happy. So again, if I'll spare the commercial inner break because we're gonna usually promote this this website. But if you haven't added yourself to the powder coating near me directory, please do today, because you might be getting a lead from us. Okay, so let's talk about some technical stuff that I'm going to go into the weeds with, because I'm not, I obviously don't use the gun and don't have it in my hand, but Jeff Hale, he's like the director of marketing for Gema, wrote an article in this month's Product Finishing magazine. And it's all talking about current and voltage when powder coating. The question was, I am a manual powder coater and want to know which gun setting is better to adjust voltage or current. And it got a kind of a technical article there, but Ross I asked him to read the article. So he has he had some notes on the article, and that is he uses a dummy proof setting, right? Depending on if he's doing automotive parts or architectural parts. So right now, Ross's gun setting is at 70 kV with a current limitation of 40 milliamps. And you can change from a soft to a medium or standby. Most small parts like lift kits, motorcycles, rims uses a soft setting, and larger architectural, he uses a medium setting with his gun, and then you just adjust the powder cloud.
Okay.
Is there a right or a wrong? I don't know. Comments?
No, everybody has their own preference. The way I like to explain it is kV and microamps. kV, when you pull the trigger, you can feel the electrostatic charge around you. It's that imaginary cloud. So I like to say, if I've got 100 kV, I can charge, trying to show it here on the camera, I can charge this big of an area. Mm-hmm. Your microamps is actually saying how strong or how weak of a current I'm putting on that powder. If I'm doing a flat panel, I just want the powder to stick to my hand here. I want 100 kV and 100 microamps, so it just sticks to it. I don't have any Faraday areas.
Right.
Where now, if I'm doing something with an angle or a 90-degree angle in it, that would be what we consider a Faraday area. So we recommend you leave your kV at 100, so I can charge any powder that's in this field coming out of the gun, but I reduce the microamps because that's the current. And that's going to weaken the charge so the powder can go farther into the corner before it wants to stick to ground.
That's a great way to explain it. And visually, so for those that are watching the YouTube, they'll see. So head on over to the YouTube channel to have him to see what he explained there with that one. Blaine, do you have anything to add?
I always try to use a car analogy. I keep my foot on the pedal, but meaning kV, I keep it 100. But when I need to drift, and slip around a turn or force into a Faraday area, I'm going to turn down my microamps. When you have drift and you're spinning around a corner, you're losing traction, which is transfer efficiency in this case. So you will lose a little transfer efficiency, but you're going to be able to overcome that Faraday effect by limiting current. So, Gema's always, maybe not, well, not always, back in the day there, 20 years ago or 25 years ago, we couldn't control, or nobody could control UA. UA was just what happened after you did your KBs, and you could kind of see where they were at. Liquid electrostatics had amperage control before powder electrostatics did, and it eventually migrated into our industry.
So are you guys getting into the wood coatings part of it? Do you have guns for that now? Just random question, I guess, because it just seems to be everybody's promoting wood coatings now, or it's kind of a thing. Are you guys having guns that are specialized for that?
The gun does not change. We still use the same as you would in a regular gun. There are some different technologies that we have to help with wood coating. I know Blaine's got a powder manufacturer right down in Texas that actually put in a new system that they have our equipment in there where they are doing 100% non-conductive coatings down there.
I don't think they're a powder manufacturer. I think they're an oven. They're an oven manufacturer.
Correct.
So they make ovens, and they wanted to show that it can be done. And that was the hard thing. It was like, can you really do this? And how do we prove it? Because we know we can do it, but how do we show them we can do it? And they took this big leap of making a significant investment into. So we have a wood lab in Gainesville, Texas now. Not mine. The person who makes the ovens owns this facility. But yeah, it's fascinating, and there have been some high level wood manufacturer, looking at this system, watching. So it could be a thing in the future. I hope it is.
Yeah, it would be a game changer for the industry for sure. I think everybody knows that. Wanted to share that your product page again on the stream. Let's see, let me get it up again. You have also other guns though, like there's some other guns out there that you're doing for different kinds of coatings. I think we had that up. These are obviously the robot gun is, a lot of what you sell. They have the Opti gun is what most coaters are. Is it the Opti Select Pro is the manual gun that everybody is using, right? When they order from you.
Correct. So the one on the far left where it's showing the two guns, that would be our robot gun, showing just two guns on a robot. It can be two guns or one gun. That one that you're pointing on, that is our automatic gun. So normally those are either on a fixed stand or they're on reciprocators where the guns move up and down. And then the one next to that is just a general picture of our OptiFlex Pro handgun or our GMO4. And then the far right is just another version of our automatic guns that would go on those reciprocators or fixed position. That is an enamel gun. They look identical. They just have different insides because enamel powder is much more abrasive than your traditional organic powders. It's basically shooting glass out of your gun.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And there's more. What's this one here? Is it? This is the manual gun for the enamel. Okay.
Correct.
And the Tribo Electric. Can you kind of just explain that? What is?
Yeah. It's back in the day it was handy. It's the reverse charge. So we add a negative charge. What the Tribo does is add a positive charge through friction. So the powder is rubbing against the tube. It's rubbing. I got to get my camera, and it's kind of rubbing as it goes through, and it picks up a positive charge. The thing is, Corona or what negative charge guns have just become so efficient that almost everything is done with a Corona gun nowadays.
Yeah.
So.
I think we've covered a lot, guys.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
on that,
we've done well. Go ahead.
on that-
Sorry.
on that tribal gun, basically, I like to add to it. It's kind of like if you were to have your socks on in your room and you rub your feet across the floor, touch a doorknob, you're going to shock it. That's the same thing what the tribal gun does. It just picks
Oh,
up that
okay.
positive charge.
Right.
Negative or Corona guns, we can manipulate that voltage a lot better than you can with a positive charge gun. That's really the two differences in technology there.
Okay, great. So anything in the future for Gema?
Maybe.
Sky is the limit.
Can't say it.
Yeah.
We don't want to create any more myths. We just want to demystify what's out there right now, right?
We'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. I think all the people that I've met through Gema, I mean, I first started with Karen Walters through PCI because she's part on a lot of the committees and very involved in PCI, and then met Jason at SEMA, who was part of that group. I'm so glad that I walked upstairs and said hello to you guys because I was just it was just so nice to meet you guys. You guys were so friendly, so nice. You already knew about me. I didn't have to kind of introduce myself, and it was just an exciting week, I guess. And then of course Jason introduced me to Blaine. So so far I like everybody at Gema. I'm sure I would like the gun too, right? Or at least my husband. He wants to try one for sure. I don't know how we're going to get it out here or how we're going to set that up, but we're game. So send it through the channels there about trying it out. And I think that says a lot about your company because it just everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, a lot of guys do use Gemas. And they just there's nothing really terrible to say about them, right? They're consistent. They don't break down. They have long lasting power, right? They're not going to quit on you next week. I feel bad for a lot of people out there that want a Gema, can't afford one necessarily. And so they compromise and get that lower end gun or get a cheaper China model or whatever. And I have heard a lot of bad stories because people don't, maybe make bad choices or have budgetary restrictions, that don't allow them to get a Gema. But everybody that buys the real thing is really happy with your guns.
Good to hear. It means a lot coming from a famous job shop. Like, you're one of the top shops in the country. So it means a lot to hear that from you. We're grateful for your interest and having us on. Sorry, Jason, go.
No, I would just encourage that if people are looking out there and you may not have a $7,000 budget, still find out who your distributor is and see if they have any payment plans. A lot of them do that to where they can, just like a car, you don't have to have $80,000 with them.
Yeah. I was going to add, that was going to be my next question is, financing or how do you, most people just put it on a credit card, then, just pay it off that way. But it is nice to know if there is, payment options through your distributors. That would be ideal for sure.
Those are distributor specific. So we don't really have like an umbrella financing company. We do, they will go with different banks.
And how many distributors do you have right now, or territories, or how does it all work that way?
I don't know exactly how many distributors we have set up across the U.S. and Canada. We're always looking to fill voids that we don't know about. So we do set up new distributors every now and then to cover an area we don't feel is being, just covered well enough. Mm-hmm. For instance, maybe we need to get somebody set up down in Hawaii.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you never know. We could be selling to Guam or we'll sell it back to China.
We do.
Yeah,
we do have an office in China.
Do you?
But that's for
Wow.
sales. That's for sales. You know, we don't do
Yeah.
any production. China can be troublesome because they want to.
Yeah.
We'll get calls that are like, "Hey, this circuit here has this much resistance, and why should we?" And they, you can tell they're trying to reverse engineer what we've done.
I was going to say that must be what they're doing, right?
Oh man,
Yeah.
they haven't figured it out yet.
They can't help themselves. It's
No.
it's how they were trained, and we're the ones that trained them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
We're the ones that made them do what they're doing now, so we could buy their stuff cheaply.
Now we're gonna make this a political podcast. I think we're gonna.
We could, and we have before for sure. I mean, it wouldn't be a first
really?
here.
Yeah, well, and then we can talk religion.
Yeah,
talk,
the religion of powder coating. Oh, that'd be an interesting podcast for sure. Well, you got my mind thinking now. But there's definitely, I think there's definitely, I don't know if you want to call it spirituality, but there's definitely heart. There are people in this industry that will give, and have so much more to give in their creativity and in their artisticness, right? That they deliver to this industry. That is bar none. And I really do. They really do take powder coating to an artistic level versus just the straight, spray and pray kind of thing. And I think that I do admire a lot of those people in that industry. I think they deserve some credit for what they're doing and pushing the limits of guns, pushing the limits of powder. It's crazy what they can do. They're shooting it on mugs and stuff, and it seems so silly to, it's just a mug, but I've never seen that kind of artwork before, to where they make it look like a sticker or a fade that just is, on such a small product. You wonder how they managed to get it to look like a spray, like you shot a spray can out of a spray can or something like that, or very graphic, street art kind of thing. It's a beautiful thing what can be done with your guns, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, I am so happy that I've had you on the show today. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your dedication in the industry, and always, maybe just explaining a little bit more of the ins and outs of your side of the industry that maybe we weren't privileged to have that knowledge before, right? Or had curiosity about it before. And I appreciate your time coming on the show today.
Thank you again for having us, Kim.
You bet. All right, everybody. If you have a question about Gema, just drop it in the comments. We'll make sure to put that article from Jeff Hale in there about the milliamps and the limitations with your KV. It's an excellent article. I think you should read it. And have a great day. Aloha.
Aloha.
See ya.